Hey everybody, welcome back to the Midwest.motogirl podcast. I'm your host, Sydney. So I just got back today from a track day weekend, and my track day experience was phenomenal. So my home track is Motorsport Park Hastings in Hastings, Nebraska. It's run by an organization called Track Addicts, and Track Addicts does this new rider school. If you have never ridden with them before, or if you're not like an experienced track day rider. And so they had 4 people that were signed up and registered for their track day school this past Saturday. And then they had a couple of others that were in the school, and I say that in quotes, but they hadn't actually signed up for it. And there was a lot of, I'm going to say, maybe issues with the new rider school over the weekend. Not at any fault to the Track Addicts organization, but due to, I'm going to say, unpreparedness of some of the riders that were in that class. And so today seems like a perfect opportunity to talk about what to expect at your first track day. But first, I'm going to give a little kind of recap of my track day experience. So this was the second Track Addicts event of the season at Motorsport Park Hastings. And back in April, I did a whole episode about what the weekend experience was, what I learned. And I was about 3 seconds off where I had finished last September, where I'd finished the season out at. And I was kind of bummed about it last April, but I also knew like, hey, it's early in the season. I'm just going to build off of that. And after being up at CRA in Brainerd, Minnesota last weekend, I came back to Hastings and was like, oh my gosh, this feels so comfortable. I'm going to go so fast today. And I really had it in my mind that I was going to get down into the high 140 lap time. So I was thinking like a 148, 149. And I didn't quite get exactly where I was, but I have a really bad habit of setting like these really super high expectations for what my lap times are going to be and then not quite meeting them. But practice felt great and the bike felt really comfortable. I went into Saturday's track day with 2 main goals. 1, to keep my eyes up, and 2, to not roll off the throttle or start braking and downshifting until I got to the 4 marker in turns 1 and turns 4. I have a really, really bad habit of seeing the brake markers and immediately grabbing downshifts and braking when sometimes I haven't even hit the 5 marker yet. And so my goal was, all right, don't start braking and downshifting until you pass that 4 board. And I knew that if I could do that, that I would find a decent amount of time. And there were some sessions that I was successful in doing that and other sessions that I wasn't. I definitely got better at not downshifting until I was passing the 5 board. But getting all the way to the 4 board, it didn't happen quite as much as I wanted to. So that's something that I'm going to keep working on. But in practice, I ended up running a 149.9, which is my fastest lap ever at Hastings. So I was really excited about that. And then in the Track Addicts lightweight amateur race at the end of the day, I feel like I got a pretty good start. I'm still like really, really scared and skittish going into turn 1. So basically after the start, I was in 3rd gear and was rolling off the throttle before the 5 board when everybody is going into turn 1. And so a bunch of people started passing me right there, like a lot of people that I had gotten a better start off the line from. And where normally on every other lap, I was going through turn 1 in 4th gear. So I should have just stayed in it a little bit longer, especially knowing that I was only in 3rd gear. But I guess I thought I was too close to the corner before I kind of realized, like, what are you doing? Why'd you roll off the throttle so early and let all those people pass you? But I stayed with the pack for almost the entire first lap, which was awesome. There's lots of times where I don't have a very good start. I roll off the throttle way early going into turn 1 because I'm kind of scared of the pack, I guess, or being in the middle with a whole bunch of bikes around me. And then we get on the back straightaway after turn 2 and the whole pack is just gone. They just drive away from me. And that did not happen. So that was really, really exciting that I was able to stay with them for as long as I did. And I also did not finish in last place. So that seems kind of silly to be celebrating, but I started doing the Track Addicts GP races at the end of the track day last July with my Yamaha R3. And they allow 300s, 400s, and 450 supermotos all to be in the lightweight class. So I'm definitely outpowered by almost every single bike in that class. And so, like I said, they would just drive away from me, and I was like, oh, well, that's because they have faster bikes. But there was a guy there this weekend that was racing, and my lap times were very similar with him last September. And when I raced against him last September, he was behind me all the way up until lap 6. And then when I started getting lapped by the expert racers at the front of the pack, I kind of just like let off and didn't continue to like push as hard as I could. And then he passed me, and I just basically let him pass me last September in the race, thinking that he was another person lapping me. And so I was pretty disappointed about that last September. And Saturday going into it, I said, that is not going to happen. I am going to get in front of him. I'm going to stay in front of him. And I opened up a big gap, ended up finishing like a few seconds in front of him. And so that was really cool. There was lots of laps in the race where I was coming out of corner 13 and I could see him out of my peripherals just coming into the corner. And I was like, all right, like, yes, like just stay on it, stay on it, stay on it. And so yeah, I ran a 150 in the race, which was my fastest lap time in the GP race. So that was pretty exciting too. And overall, it was just a good day, like good weather, good camaraderie, and my riding felt smooth. Everything just felt good. And so it was confidence inspiring. It was great. It was fantastic. Probably the best Track Addicts race that I've ever had. And it was fun. Like I literally came back after the Track Addicts race smiling ear to ear. And for like a couple of hours after that, I just had this giant smile on my face. My friend Scott that was pitted next to me, he was like making jokes about how big my smile was because I was just so excited. But anyway, so that was my particular Track Addicts experience this weekend, which was awesome. But a lot of other people's track day experience was probably not as good. And so, like I mentioned before, Track Addicts has this new rider school that they require you to sign up for if it is your first time riding at Motorsport Park Hastings, or if you are a new track day rider. There was 4 people signed up for that class. It's on the Track Addicts website that you have to register for it if you are a new rider, and it does cost money to do it. It's not very expensive, but it does cost money, and part of that is because they have instructors that are teaching it. They have control riders that are riding with you, and then they also provide you lunch. So it's kind of to just cover some of those expenses that go along with having those people there to teach the class and paying for your lunch and etc. But like I said, it's not very expensive. They teach you all of the track day rules and kind of like etiquette, which is really, really important. And so I guess what to expect at your first track day. If you are riding with Track Addicts specifically, you should expect that you're going to take that new rider school. And the way that school is set up, you are going to spend like 30 minutes to an hour in the morning in like a classroom type setting. And then you're going to go out on the track for 30 minutes and you're going to ride with an instructor. And then you're going to go back to the classroom for 30 minutes. And then you're going to go back on the track for 30 minutes. And it's going to alternate like that between track and classroom all morning up until lunchtime. And then after lunchtime, they're going to say, all right, we've taught you all the track day rules. We've showed you the lines. You've seen the track. All right, now you're going to ride out on your own in our novice intermediate group, which is called the B group. And then there are track day instructors and control riders that are also riding around on track. So if they see somebody that's struggling, they'll tap their tail and have that person follow them. And they're kind of like out there to control things. But if you're riding with a different track day organization, there's a lot of track days that do something very, very similar, especially in the novice group. And I used to ride at Heartland Park, Topeka, and they did not have like a new riders school, But if you were in the novice group, the whole first session out was orientation laps. And they went over a lot of the track day rules in their riders meeting. So their riders meeting in the morning was sometimes like 30 or 45 minutes long. Like it felt like a really long riders meeting because they went over all the flags and the passing rules in every group and some of your track day etiquette. Like they went over all of that in the riders meeting, which Track Addicts doesn't do because they expect that people kind of already know that if they've been doing track days. But yes, so at Heartland Park Topeka, for novice riders, the whole first session out there on the track was orientation laps, where it was kind of like a follow the leader type thing, where you'd follow their lines and you could learn the track that way. And then after that, if you wanted to ride with a control rider or an instructor, you could, but they would say, all right, we're going to let you out. And then they would circulate around the track, and then they would talk to people that, hey, you're doing this and you should be doing that. Hey, this is going to cause a crash. Don't do that. Things like that. And when I mention sessions, what I mean is, so track days are typically, they're not a free-for-all. So most track days, they are going to break you up into 2, 3, sometimes even 4 different groups based on your speed and your experience level. So Track Addicts, they have 2 groups. They have an A group and a B group. A group is going to be your novice and your intermediate riders together. And then your A group are going to be your upper intermediate and your expert riders. When I went to Heartland Park Topeka, back at that point in time, they had 3 groups. They had a novice, an intermediate, and advanced. That's most common across the board. There are some groups or some organizations that will do 4 groups if they are getting a lot of people that are coming out to their track day. But for the most part, it's typically novice, intermediate, advanced. And so your designated track time is based on what group you're in. And so if they have 3 groups, your track time is 20 minutes per hour. So maybe at the top of the hour, so at 9 a.m., your advanced group is going to go out. At 9:20, your intermediate group is going to go out. At 9:40, your novice group is going to go out. And it's going to alternate like that. With Track Addicts, because there's only 2 groups, you get 30-minute riding sessions. So when the track goes hot at 9 a.m., the advanced group goes out, or A group. And then at 9:30, you have B group that goes out. And it alternates like that all the way throughout the day. So now that we have kind of covered what the format is going to be like for your first track day, especially if you are at a Track Addicts event, let's talk about track day preparedness and kind of what you need to do when you first get to the racetrack in the morning. So obviously you're going through somebody's website when you sign up for a track day. So I'm going to say like the most important thing that you could do to be ready and prepared for that track day is just to read their website. Heck, even before you actually sign up for that track day and you pull the trigger, read their website. Most track day organizations are going to have all of their rules on their website. They're going to have their format, their schedule. They're going to have any sort of like technical inspection that your bike needs to go through. All of that is going to be right there on their website. And if it's not, most of them have a way that you can contact the organization to get that information. And a lot of the local racetracks will either have motorcycle track day groups on Facebook, or the organization that's running the motorcycle track days will have a Facebook group. So find that group on social media, join the group, and you can also ask questions there too. But when you read the website, that's going to answer a lot of questions right there about how the day is going to be set up, what you need to do, where you need to be, how much it costs, what gear you need, all of those things. And so when you get to the track in the morning, most tracks are like the gates are going to open at 6:30 or 7 o'clock in the morning. And I know like gate times at different tracks can get a little bit confusing because some let you come the night before, some don't open up the track until the morning. Some will allow you to come the night before for a certain amount of time, and then they'll close or lock the gate, and you have to wait until the morning to get back in. So I understand that part of it can get a little bit confusing, but usually there's information on that organization's website about all of those things. Or you can contact the track directly as well. So if you're signing up for a track day, obviously you know which racetrack you're going to go to. So you can look up some of that information on the racetrack's website themselves, or contact their track day coordinator, whatever their representative from the racetrack is, and they can answer some of those questions for you. When you go to a track day, you're going to have to decide, especially like depending on how far away from you, like what are your travel and your logistics of getting your motorcycle there and your sleeping arrangements for the night before. At Motorsport Park Hastings, we're very blessed because they have RV hookup spots that you can rent at a very minimal cost for a Track Addicts event and for a motorcycle track day event. They have gates open 24/7, so you can come and go whenever you need to throughout the weekend. If you want to get there on Friday night to ride on Saturday, you're more than welcome to. If you're going to ride Saturday and Sunday, you can stay until the end of the track day on Sunday. You can camp at the track the entire weekend. There's shower facilities and bathroom facilities there that are very nice. They have tent camping areas. They have like a kid zone area where kids are allowed to be on bicycles. Most tracks have insurance requirements that prevent children from being on bicycles or motorcycles or anything with wheels in the paddock area for safety reasons. But Track Addicts, or I guess Motorsport Park Hastings, has a little area that is safe for children to be on their bicycles and scooters and skateboards and things like that throughout the day. It's a very, very nice facility. We're very, very lucky. They don't charge a gate fee for people that are coming to do track days, where there's a lot of organizations and racetracks that do. Some of them, it may be a minimal $10 gate fee. Some of them may charge you $30 or $40 gate fee on top of your track day registration and cost. But so depending on how far you're traveling, you definitely want to figure out what your travel plans, logistics, sleeping arrangements are going to be. Are you going to camp at the track? Are you going to go there the night before and get a hotel? Are you going to get up really early and drive there in the morning? All of those things. Like, are you going to stay and camp that night after the track day is over? Are you going to pack up and leave right after the track day is open? Are you going to get a hotel room a second night? Like, all of those things you're going to want to have planned out. And when you look at the track day website or at the racetrack website and you figure out when you're allowed to come and go, that can help you make your plan and help you answer some of those questions. So it is Saturday morning. The gate for the racetrack is open. You just arrived at the racetrack and you're trying to figure out where you're going to go. Basically, most track day organizations, the paddock area, it's just kind of free range. Motorsport Park Hastings, like I mentioned, they have those RV spots that you can use for electricity. Those you have to rent through the track before the weekend starts. Or if there is extras available, you can rent them once you get there, but that all goes through the track. But other than that, if you're not using electricity, or maybe you are using electricity, but you brought your own generator, and you just need a place to park your trailer for the day and set up your chairs and your canopy and all of that, the paddock is just mostly open. And so you can park anywhere that you want. And most racetracks are going to be like that. I've been to a handful of different racetracks now, and the paddock is pretty much always open parking. So you're going to pull up, you're going to get parked, you're going to unload your bike, set up your area, whether that be like a canopy tent for shade. Maybe that means that you're going to get out lawn chairs and tables and grills and whatever it is, but you're going to get your area set up so that you're ready to ride, and you're going to get your bike prepped to be ready to ride. Some organizations will have a tech inspection for motorcycles in the morning. Track Addicts does not do a strict tech inspection where you have to take your bike up to a tech garage and they check everything over. They do what they call a self-technical inspection. So they have all of their tech rules on their website, and they expect everybody to look over their bike before they come to the track and go through those tech rules to make sure that their bike meets all the requirements. And then during the first session out of the day, they will also have somebody at the track entrance gate that will stop you, and they'll basically take like a really quick look over your bike. They're not checking that your brakes work. They're not checking that your throttle works and returns on its own. They're basically checking to make sure that you don't have parts hanging off your bike. And that like there's no big glaring issues. Like it's a 30-second check over as you go out on the track. But that makes it really important to make sure that you know the rules and that you're following the rules and that you've done the pre-tech on your own, so that you don't end up with a bunch of mechanical issues throughout the day. So if there's a technical inspection in the morning at your organization, you would have to take your bike there, go through tech, and that's where they would give you your sticker with which group you registered to ride in. If you're a new track day rider, you're going to be a novice. If you're a more experienced rider, but not the fastest guy out there, you're probably going to be an intermediate. If you're a very experienced track day rider or a racer, or just very, very talented, maybe you're an expert. But they're going to give you whatever that sticker is for what group you should be riding in. And then when you go out on the track, you're expected to have that sticker on your bike so that they know that the people are riding in that group are the ones supposed to be riding in that group. And then you don't have somebody that's like doubling up and riding multiple groups throughout the day. Those stickers are like the best way that most track day organizations can police that you've got the right people on the track at the right time. So after you've gone through your tech inspection, you've gotten your sticker. At Track Addicts, because they don't do a tech inspection, they have what they call registration in the morning. And so that's where you go and you sign the track day waiver that the racetrack requires everybody to sign in on. And then they'll give you your sticker at like the registration tent. But it's very, very easy, and they make announcements on the intercom that, hey, registration is open, everybody needs to register, go on down and get registered. Again, very, very easy. And then most organizations will have a riders meeting in the morning, typically 30 to 45 minutes before the track is going to go hot. And when I say the track is going to go hot, that means that you've got a green flag for the racetrack, and the first group is going to be able to go out and ride. And so that riders meeting is mandatory. So when you hear the announcement for riders meeting, or they tell you at registration, hey, the riders meeting is at 8:30, you should make sure that you are at that riders meeting. If you're not at that riders meeting, you're missing out on important information and important reminders that they want everybody to hear and to know. Most of the time in the riders meeting, they're going to talk about like passing rules for the different groups. And your novice may only allow you to pass on the straightaways. Intermediate, maybe it's outside passing only. Your expert group or your A group, maybe they are allowed any type of passing. But each organization has their own passing rules for each group. And they'll give you a refresher of those at the riders meeting. They'll also give you a refresher on what some of the flags mean. Or maybe that organization uses a blue flag for something. They're going to explain to you, hey, we have a blue flag. It means this specifically, and they're going to remind you of those things. If you are going to a track day organization that has a new riders school, then instead of going to the riders meeting, you would probably be in your first classroom session of your new riders school. That's the way that my home organization, Track Addicts, does it, where any new track day riders, you go to the classroom at 8:30 instead of going to the riders meeting, and everything that they cover in the riders meeting, they will be covering in the classroom setting as well. So you're not missing out on anything. But go to that riders meeting. It's important that you go to it. Any kind of special announcement is what is going to be at that riders meeting. Safety reminders, flag reminders, passing rules, etc. And then once the track goes green, you're going to gear up and you're going to go out and ride. And when you go out there and ride, try to have fun with it. The most important part about riding at the racetrack and going to a track day is just having fun. A lot of people get really caught up in lap times, and sometimes they let their lap times ruin their day. And so I know I started out this episode where I was really excited and I ran my fastest laps at Hastings and all of that. And so I was talking about how great it was to be fast and have good lap times. But the most important part that made the weekend so great was that I had fun doing it. Like, I got to hang out with my friends. I felt really confident on my motorcycle, and I had a whole lot of fun and felt like I achieved something. And so when you go to the track, you don't ever want to lose sight of it's supposed to be a fun activity. If you're going to the racetrack and you're not able to have fun, well, then I would definitely say you need to probably change something up. And I understand that, and I've been there. There was probably a 3-year hiatus that I basically took from doing track days because I was going to the track by myself. I wasn't making friends at the track, basically from my own doing. And I didn't feel like I was getting faster, so it just wasn't nearly as fun as what it should be. And let's be real here. Motorcycling in general is an expensive hobby. And track days and motorcycle racing are also expensive, even more so than just street riding, because you have to have so much more gear, and then you have to pay for your track time and your travel to and from the track, and all of that adds up, where track days are expensive. And so if you're spending a lot of money and you're not enjoying yourself, well, then I would really encourage you to just sit back and think about, why do I really want to do this? What am I gaining by doing this, especially if you're not having fun? And once you figure out why you want to be doing it, it becomes a lot easier to figure out why you're not having fun, and then you can correct that. When I first started going to track days, basically I was going because I had 2 or 3 friends at the time that did track days, and they had convinced me that it was this great new thing that I should try. So I was kind of just going more for them and to experience it rather than going for me. And my first track day, I went by myself. I had those 2 or 3 friends that convinced me to sign up for the track day, and then they bailed. They bailed a couple of days before the event because it was supposed to rain, and they didn't want to go out there and ride in the rain. And at that point, I had already signed up. I had already registered for the new rider school, and I actually had a coupon for the new rider school with Track Addicts, where if I had taken this other like street riding class that Track Addicts had put on a couple of months prior. And so from taking this other motorcycle riding class, they gave you a discount, or it might have even been completely free. It was like some kind of coupon that was good for one-time registration to take the new rider school at the track. And so I'd already registered for the track day. I had already used my coupon, where if I didn't go, I was going to have to pay for that new rider school again. And honestly, I didn't want to lose my money. So I said, okay, well, my friends aren't going to go. I'm going to go anyway, and I'll see what it's like. And then if I like it, I'll go with them another time. And I remember driving to the track that morning in the pouring rain and just wishing the entire time, like praying that they had canceled the track day because of weather. I checked my email while I was driving to see if they had sent me an email or had like tried to contact me to let me know that the track day was canceled due to rain. And it wasn't. And I ended up going to the track day by myself and going to the new rider school by myself. And the instructors and the coaches in the new rider school were awesome. They thought it was really cool that I went there by myself as like a young female. But I was definitely intimidated and kind of scared. And those friends, and I say that in quotes, in air quotes, that I had that introduced me to track days, I did a few more track days with them that summer, but then we didn't continue to stay friends. They definitely kind of like dwindled out, where they weren't having fun going to the racetrack anymore. And so they stopped going, and I kept going. And after a while, when I kept going, I wasn't really making any friends because I wasn't putting myself out there. I would have lots of people come over and talk to me throughout the day. They would always say, hey, if you need anything, come find us, come hang out with us over lunch, like we're here. And I never took them up on that offer because of some of like the crappy things that those people that introduced me to track days had said to me. And some of those crappy things included like that these people at the racetrack were only being nice to me because I was a girl, or they were only being nice to me because somebody thought that I was attractive, or because somebody wanted to sleep with me, or any of those things, which are completely untrue. But me being 23 years old and going to the track by myself and not knowing any of these things, I didn't know. And I didn't want to find out the hard way if those things were true. So I just didn't talk to anybody, basically. And over time, as I wasn't talking to people, wasn't making friends, didn't feel like I was getting any faster, I stopped going. Like I mentioned, I took like a 3-year probably hiatus from going to the racetrack because it stopped being fun. And I also had a boyfriend at the time that I've referenced in another episode, that he was a crappy boyfriend, to be blatantly honest. And he thought going to the racetrack and doing track days or street riding in general, he thought it was stupid. He thought anything on asphalt was stupid and the only sports that mattered were sports on dirt. And so I listened to that over and over and over again. And after a while, I was like, well, he doesn't like this, so I just won't go. Which is a terrible thing to do. Like, you need to do the things that you like to do. And after we broke up, I kind of had this realization one day where I was like, hey, I liked going to the track. I had fun going to the track. And so I said, you know what? I'm going to go back. And my first day at the track, it wasn't very great. I fell back into my own ways, and I stayed by myself, didn't talk to anybody, and just really didn't have very much fun. And that track day that I went to was at Heartland Park in Topeka, Kansas. So the environment there was a little bit different than the Track Addicts environment in Hastings anyways, but it just wasn't really fun. And so then a couple of months later, I kind of said, you know what? I'm going to give this one more shot. I'm going to go to Hastings. I am going to ride, and I'm going to have fun, or I'm going to sell my bike and be done with track riding altogether. And I went, and I had this mindset of, I'm going to have fun today. And I had a blast. And I met a whole bunch of people, made a bunch of friends, and then that was kind of like my reintroduction to track day riding, and it was awesome. And it's continued to be awesome every single time that I've gone. But what changed from when I first started going to when I stopped going to when I had a great time, my mindset had changed. And that mindset shift is what has kept me doing track days, where I go into a track day just wanting to have fun. If I go fast, that's awesome, but the goal is to have fun and become a better rider. And it's something that I do for me. And so I've mentioned in one of my previous episodes about finding your why, about why you want to ride a motorcycle. And once you figure out why you want to ride a motorcycle, or in this case, once you figure out why do you want to do a track day, or why do you want to continue doing track days, or maybe why do you want to start racing motorcycles, when you figure out the answers to all of those questions, it can become very clear to you about why it's so important for you. I'm going to get off my soapbox now about your why and the mindset part of it, but the biggest thing when you go to the track is just have fun. Like, we're all spending a ton of money to be there. There's nothing worse than going there and not having fun. Like, that's the whole reason most people ride a motorcycle to begin with. They start out riding a motorcycle because they think it will be fun. So the day has come to an end. The track day is over. Hopefully you had a blast. Hopefully you learned something. Maybe you improved your riding skills a little bit. And hopefully you talked to some people as well. Maybe you made some new friends, some new acquaintances. Hopefully you want to go back. Or maybe that wasn't your experience. Unfortunately, a lot of women deal with anxieties and nervousness when they go out to the racetrack, and they kind of deal with that throughout the entire course of the day, and it can hinder them getting hooked on it. It can hinder them wanting to come back and do it again. I still get nervous when I go out for the start of a race. Sometimes I still get nervous at a race practice. I definitely get nervous when I go to new tracks that I don't know. And even if it just is for a practice or for a track day. But if you experience like that anxiousness or that nervousness and it kind of hindered you from having fun for the day, like, don't get discouraged. I think everybody experiences that and feels that when they first start track riding, and that can all definitely be overcome. So if you were feeling like really nervous or really anxious, like reflect back on what your experience was that day and see if there's something that you could do differently to prevent that. Or like maybe it was just the way that the organization had the day set up that caused that anxiousness and that nervousness. So a friend of mine, she is a fairly new rider. She kind of inspired some of this podcast to begin with from like the questions that she was asking me about motorcycling and riding in general. And I remember talking to her about track days. And she had gone to a track day last year, and she said that she kind of pretended that she had fun, but she didn't actually have fun. She spent the entire day more like in survival mode. And the organization that she did a track day with, they did not have a new riders school. So most of the day, she just felt like she was very overwhelmed, is what she kind of conveyed to me in our conversation about it. And I explained to her, like, that is not a normal track day experience. Like, if you are feeling overwhelmed and that you're just trying to survive the day, then maybe you need to try again with a different organization. Or maybe you need to sit down and think about a little bit more about why you want to go to the racetrack. And in her case, she went because some of her friends went, or some of her friends were regular track day riders. And I think they kind of convinced her to go. I don't recall that for sure from our conversation, but her boyfriend had also used to be an avid track day rider. And so he was like, yeah, sure, let's go. And throughout the day, she felt like she didn't really know what she was doing out there on the track. There was a lot of people kind of like racing around, passing her really closely, and not really helping her with her lines or kind of showing her around. And then her friends that she was with, they were talking about like how fast they had gone all day and kind of just like talking smack to each other, which my friend group, we talk a heck of a lot of smack to each other during track days as well, but we're also very encouraging of each other. And so I think that maybe the biggest thing that she didn't enjoy about that track day was just that she felt like she was kind of on this island where you had all these experienced people that she was pitting with and didn't really know what to do, where to go. She didn't know the track. She didn't know the lines. She didn't have instructors or control riders that were working with her. So she was just kind of like out there on her own and feeling like maybe feeling like she wasn't good enough or she wasn't adding up. And if that is your track day experience, like I said, please try again with a different organization. Most organizations, they want new riders to come back. And my home organization, like I mentioned, they have that new riders school. So they teach you all the track day rules. They show you around the track. They show you the race line. And they gradually get you up to faster and faster speeds. So the first time you go out on the track, maybe you're only going 40 miles an hour. And then throughout the day, as they're riding with you and you get more comfortable out on the track, they're going to increase that speed. And they're also going to judge the speed that they're showing you the track based on your experience level and if you're keeping up or not. And if you're not keeping up, that's totally okay. They're going to dial it back a little bit. Like they want everybody to have fun and to come back. And that's the way I think a track day should be. And like I said, if you're feeling nervous, anxious, like you just had to survive the track day and you didn't really have any fun, maybe stop and try to think about like what caused some of that. And then hopefully you can correct it and you can go back another time and have fun. And maybe you go once or twice and track day riding just isn't for you. That's okay too. Not every single motorcycle person is a track day rider. And that's totally fine. Like we all have our own journey in the motorcycle world and they don't all have to be the same. And I hope that this was helpful to maybe some street riders that are interested in doing their first track day. Maybe you've done your first track day and you want to go to a different organization and you're just feeling a little bit unsure of yourself. I hope that this was helpful to you. I would encourage everybody that has any kind of desire to do a track day to just try it out. Like, get outside of your own head, just try it out, have fun with it. Like, having fun is the most important part. And then after you've given it the old college try, then decide if you want to do it again or not. And hopefully throughout the day, you talked to some people, met some people, and found some kind of like camaraderie in the atmosphere and the organization itself, because that camaraderie and the community aspect of it is really what can make your track day experience really, really fun. So again, I hope that this was helpful to somebody. Thank you for listening. Over this past weekend, after I released episode 8, I surpassed 100 streams on this podcast. So I'm really excited about that. It feels like a really big achievement and a big step, because when I started this podcast, I really didn't think that it would amount to much of anything. And so it feels pretty good to know that people are actually listening to what I have to say. And so if you're enjoying it, learning anything from it, if you have any ideas about what you want to hear in a different podcast episode or an upcoming episode, please leave a comment for me. I see and read all the comments that I get, and I would love to hear your thoughts, opinions, ideas. If you're enjoying it, or you have other motorcycle friends that you think might enjoy it or learn from it, please feel free to share it with them and subscribe on Spotify or on Apple, and then you can get updates whenever I release a new episode. So again, thanks for being here. I hope that you decide to give the track a try, and when you do, I hope that you have a great time at the racetrack, and we will catch you next time. Bye, guys.